Good morning and welcome to the commencement and processional ceremonies of the Coronado High School graduating class of 2020. I am Emma Aguero, Student Body President. Please stand with me wherever you may be and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now, please welcome Amaya Henley.
I am Amaya Henley, Student Body Treasurer. We want to welcome honored guests, parents, families, and friends, and fellow graduates both present with us and watching from afar. It is our pleasure to introduce the Clark County School District dignitaries, distinguished guests, and Coronado High School faculty that support us each day. Trustee Deanna L. Wright, Clark County School District Board of School Trustees, District A. Dr. Jesus Strara, Clark County School District Superintendent of Schools. Dr. Carla Loria, Clark County School District Chief Instructional Officer. Ms. Julian Pendleton, Clark County School District School Associate Superintendent, Region 3. Mr. Mike Piccinini, Coronado High School Principal. Mrs. Sarah Barlow, Dr. Jennifer Barkowitz, Mrs. Tricia Davenport, Ms. Nicole Delgado, Ms. Jamie Gilbert, Mr. Robert Kalinowski, and Mr. Sean Marshall, Coronado High School's Assistant Principal. The faculty, staff, and administration of the many elementary and middle schools that support Coronado High School. And finally, the Coronado faculty and staff. Thank you. And now, please welcome Alicia Wynn.
Hello, I'm Alicia Wynn, Student Body Secretary. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to one of our presentations today that will highlight our talented senior class. The first, our senior poem, is presented by Carly Meinert, who will share her original poem selected by the senior class and a panel of staff judges entitled Excellence by Design. Please welcome Carly Meinert.
Class of 2020, look how far we've come. From all different walks of life, we're graduating as one. I look around this room to see so many familiar friends, from classmates to teammates to hallway hellos, even those I saw every weekend. Sports, clubs, or classes alone, we all obtained a glance of what it feels like to really grow up, an additional home where we were given a chance to transform ourselves into who we are and mature from the trying strife, using the guidelines suggested and provided to navigate the start of life. From every lesson to all the good times, those moments where you pushed through, those minutes you will never get back, those memories are engraved in you. Take a final gaze around this room at the faces we've known for years. Replay your childhood over and over, replay the laughter and the tears. Today we depart our marching grounds, our beloved red, white, and blue. And whether or not high school was your thing, I hope you take something with you. Remember to look back with smiles, recognize how much we've grown. Focus on all the valuable times that have made your life your own. The future is bright for each of us. There's so much life ahead. This may be the end of a beautiful chapter, but we are nowhere near the end. And to our dearest Coronado, it has truly been a ride. Through each and every individual, you developed excellence by design.
Thank you, Carly. My name is Savannah Berquist, and I served this year as a student body historian. Today, our second presentation is a musical presentation arranged by senior students Sarah Crockett, Sheldon Skobeloff, and Anya Wong of the senior song Unwritten, under the direction of Mr. Eric Fleischer, adapted from Roger Emerson, and produced by Enoch Alber. I am pleased to also present the Coronado High School Madrigals and class of 2020 choral students singing our senior song.
I'm just beginning, lending my hand, lending my hand, staring wide open. Today is where we begin.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can hear it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Just stop the words unspoken. Feel like the mouth wide open. Today is where we begin. The rest is still unwritten. The rest is still unwritten.
The rest is still unwritten.
Hello, my name is Sheldon Skoboloff, and I served as this year's senior class president. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce you all to Coronado High School's principal, Mr. Mike Piccinini, for his message to the Coronado community and class of 2020.
Life tried to crush us, but only succeeded in creating diamonds. John Mark Green's thoughts echo the theme embraced by our graduates: challenge accepted. The class of 2020 will forever be known as those who have overcome and risen in turbulence, uncertainty, and chaos, forever leaving their mark on Coronado High School, our city, and our nation. From the ashes, a fire shall be woken, a light from the shadows shall spring. I want to begin by welcoming parents, friends, faculty, and loved ones from around the country and throughout the world, here to watch in unprecedented fashion the Coronado High School class of 2020 be recognized as graduates. While this celebration is untraditional and mired in restrictions, we see it as a unique opportunity to celebrate, reflect, and move forward. Today is historic. This event marks the very first time graduates will be conferred in our school, our home, where they belong. Our school is alive again, breathing and crying and laughing because of you, because of our beloved Cougars. We feel so grateful to share this moment with you. Words can't express how very proud we are. You remind us more than ever that our future is bright. Today's address is intended to be reflective. To move forward, it's really important to look back. Given the climate and circumstances surrounding this address, it's never been more important to listen and learn. The graduates of the class of 2020 began their academic careers as kindergartners in the fall of 2007. Prior to the start of their first day of school, Steve Jobs and the Apple Corporation debuted the iPhone, changing nearly everything we knew about communication and access to worldwide information. Many of us used our new iPhones to buy a copy of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the final installment of the Harry Potter book series, selling 11 million copies in the first 24 hours of release. The then Oakland Raiders drafted top draft pick Jamarcus Russell as their quarterback of the future. Thankfully, he is long gone, and now the Las Vegas Raiders prepare to take the field in our hometown this fall. Barry Bonds hit his 755th home run, tying Henry Aaron's 33-year-old record. Sadly, later in the year, he was indicted on perjury and obstruction charges tied to his judgment and use of steroids. The Big Bang Theory premiered, along with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and the hashtag was invented and used for the first time on Twitter by product designer Chris Messina. Our kindergartners would witness the China toy recall, the Virginia Tech massacre, and the Patriots' undefeated season, all before moving on to the first grade. To look back now seems surreal. I have this thought and this feeling of being alone at Coronado during the final months of our seniors' year, wishing them back. I share the feeling of them being locked on the outside, secretly meeting in the senior parking lot after hours to see each other, their friends at their home. Hearing stories of them and reading their social media, knowing they just wanted to come back for a day, if only for a moment, to be normal again. The thoughts of kindergarten and the playground and field day, Friday night football, the senior sunrise, and homecoming all seem like far distant memories. This year's current kindergartners, the class of 2033, live in a world where nothing seems certain. Those things we took for granted as normal, the structures and circumstances we relied on as routine, have all been impacted beyond recognition. When the class of 2033 returns to school in the fall, if they return to school in person, do not know what awaits them, what it will look like, or if it will ever be the same. I can't imagine how this would feel with the perspective of a 6-year-old. I don't know how to feel, and I'm a grown adult. In searching for and finding path through the circumstance, and to push us through and into the new future, our students and families will need to rely on all they've learned. Their vast skill sets, their dispositions and areas of excellence are needed now more than ever. But beyond that, I would challenge, we need our character, our moral aptitude, those soft skills employers talk about but rarely cherish above competency and resume sets. Morality and character, empathy and compassion, the core of what has been pushed aside and devalued in the path of progress, seems to be at the heart of everything missing. I challenge that those who display these missing pieces will be the leaders of our next chapter, the ones who will be heard and relied on and provide not only the spark for change but the vision and tools to enact it. Maybe it's time that ideas like trust and hope, love, attitude, and faith prevail as our guides, our values, even the benchmarks we use to build improvement around. How would things look different if these values were our building blocks? When a parent throws a baby in the air, they laugh because they know someone will catch them. That is trust. Every night we go to bed without any assurance of waking the next morning. Yet we still set the alarm. That is hope. We see the world suffering, but still we marry and have children. That is love. An old man wears a shirt written, "I am not 80 years old, I'm sweet 16 with 64 years of experience." That is attitude. All the villagers decided to pray for rain. On the day of the prayer, all the people gathered, but only one boy brought an umbrella. That is faith. There is no question current challenges locally and nationally at all levels of social, economic, and political fronts command our youth to lead us, and more importantly, to lead change. When we watch the news and see the stories that make our hearts ache, I always try to remember the determination and courage of our Cougars, our graduates, to lead us with trust and hope, love, attitude, and faith, to lead their generation, or even ours, in change and making the world better. Coronado students are at their best when the stakes are highest. They thrive when pressure is high and succeed when it matters most. It is a trademark of our school. There is no doubt that the social and political issues facing us all in this generation calls for the bravest, most capable, and courageous leaders to take action. There is greatness among these students. They will be unafraid and will define the path. In doing so, they will use more than competency. They will be moral leaders, empathetic hearts, guided by trust and hope and love, their attitude and faith. They will lead in a way no generation has ever been required to or capable of. It is their calling. Without questions, they can and will change the world. As their principal, I am so proud of what they stand for and who they are as women and men. Moms and dads and loved ones, I admire you, your work as families, and I thank you so very much sincerely for sharing your children with us, if only for a time. I'll close my remarks with two thoughts. First, I would remind us all to be kind. I would remind you not to misunderstand the difference between kindness and weakness. Following the Boston Marathon bombings, Patton Oswalt wrote, When you spot violence or bigotry or intolerance or fear or garden variety misogyny, hatred, or ignorance, look it in the eye and think, we, the good, outnumber the evil, and we always will. Be part of the good and the courageous and the undeterred. Let your instincts guide you, and the path will be clear. Secondly, if luck favors the prepared, I wish you diligence in preparation. I wish you determination. I wish you the courage to be unafraid when times are hard. I wish you empathy to help others. And most importantly, I will wish you success and the desire to move through the world demonstrating humility and finding happiness in all you do. Be relentless in your pursuits, and remember Neil Gaiman's comments, fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. For nearly 10 years, the final words of my graduation address were written by Benjamin Franklin. They said, "Well done is better than well said." I still believe the idea. However, in the spirit of the times, I would like to close with words written by Marshall Mathers. These shoulders hold up so much. They won't budge. We never fall or fold up. Even if my collarbones crush or crumble, we will never slip or stumble. Your shoulders hold up so much. You won't budge. You never fall or fold up. Even if your collarbones crush or crumble, Cougars never stumble. Like none before them, Class of 2020, thank you. Challenge accepted.
Thank you, Mr. Piccinini. I'm Bailey Boren, Student Body Vice President. Today I present to you the Class of 2020 Valedictorians and Salutatorians. Please join me in recognizing and congratulating these students for their academic achievements. This year's Salutatorians are Sarah Jane Crockett and Caleb Michael Nally. This year's Valedictorians are Robert Franklin Britt, Saad Chowdhury, Renato Nicholas Fajardo, Alyssa Danielle Fitzpatrick, Stephen Scott Gutterman, Mia Alexandra Kaufman, Megan Wei Wan King, Jasmine Devon Kumar, Dakyoung Demi Lee, Katie Sejin Lim, Maxwell Riley Lipschitz, Alicia Morgus, Madison Nicole Morrison, Kayla Isabel Aguas Paragas, Dylan Russell Fung, Ella Joy Reed, Grace Suzanne Schmidt, Cassidy G. Steiff, Zion Tang, Bryce Devlin Tondrick, Lacey Grace Wallace, Rachel Faye Wei, Samuel Hwan-hee Yu, Matea Jean Zellick, and Rayanne Marie Zobel. And now, we will be honored to hear from the valedictorians who would like to share some words with us today. First, Saad Chowdhury.
Hello, students, family, and friends of the Class of 2020, and possibly future historians looking to see how people graduated during the 2020 outbreak. My name is Saad Chowdhury, and I'm honored to be giving a valedictorian speech of the Class of 2020. What a cool number, right? 2020. Everybody's got crystal clear vision. But as cool as the number 2020 is, let me tell you, this class is even cooler. Coming to high school, we were catching Pokemon in Pokemon Go and learned various dance moves like the dab, the bow, and the shoot. We lived through many interesting moments during our time here, like a fire alarm that lasted for hours and a burning poster in the hallway. Funny stories. But moving forward, it's not our grades or our large following on social media that will matter. It's the friendships and improvement in character that we made that matter most in the next chapter of our lives. Not only have we pulled through our 4 years of high school, we've also been working through the current coronavirus outbreak. With the help of our passionate teachers, we figured out how to learn and grow despite being stuck at home. This proves something important about us. We have resilience and perseverance. No matter the challenge, the Class of 2020 does not back down. We get up and work hard to overcome adversity. This is something important to remember as we move on to the next step in our life, no matter what that may be. No matter the challenge presented before us, we have proven here that we have the capability to improvise, adapt, and then overcome. This is the mentality we need to carry through as we move on to become leaders of the community. We never back down from the challenge. We accept it and then exceed all expectations because we are the class of 2020. As interesting as it would be to see how it would go, I'm grateful we are not having a Skype graduation. Thankfully, we do not have to see how that would play out, and we are able to walk across the stage to receive our diplomas. I would like to thank the staff for putting together such a wonderful graduation, and I also like to thank the teachers and staff of Coronado for pushing us to become better, not only as students, but as people. And I would also like to thank our parents, who supported us in our most stressful times and rejoiced with us in our happiest moments. And then I'd like to thank you guys, my fellow graduates, for being the funniest, smartest, creative, and fundamentally awesome classmates. We got here because of each other, and I know that we will support each other as we turn the page and the tassel to the next chapter of our lives. Thank you. And now, please welcome Renato Nick Fajardo.
I like to think the last 4 years have been extremely transformative for many of us. We've learned so much by doing so much. Some of us got licenses, some of us got jobs, some of us applied to college, and some of us got started on our career paths. And now that high school is over, I find that the way we approach life is very similar to the way we handle our social media, namely through the use of filters. Think about it. If there's any takeaway from these last few months, it's that some things will pop up in your life that you can't control, that you can't ignore, and that you simply have to work through. Let that be your picture, your post, your material. But when you use a filter, you can change the way someone sees your life. We all know that sunset picture was not as beautiful in real life as it looked online. And we've all seen the magic that some filters can do in erasing our insecurities, our weaknesses, or ourselves, as unhealthy as that might be. But we can translate that into something that isn't unhealthy. What if instead of changing the perspective on your photos, you change the perspective to the way you viewed your life? What if instead of using perspective to force others to appreciate your life, you could change yours to appreciate it yourself? Look, I'm not going to stand up here and pretend like the world is peachy, as if we're all going to go home today and enjoy our lives like we could have in 2016. Unfortunately for everyone, the world has changed dramatically. And unfortunately for seniors today, this change has happened in what is supposedly the best time in our lives. I'm also not going to stand up here and ignore what we're dealing with. I'm not afraid of telling you that we're still dealing with a pandemic, and I'm not afraid of telling you that we're in a horrible political climate on both sides of the spectrum. And I'm not afraid of telling you that I don't know when this is going to get better. But when I do tell you this, my aim isn't to discourage you or to remind you of the worries of today, because this is the part that we can't change, the part we have to work through. But what we can change is our attitude. We choose how we react when we watch the news. We make a decision every time we stay home, every time we help the community, or every time we speak our minds. And believe me, I think it's horrible we're living in this period of time. But I can't let that define who I am. We're graduating, we're moving on, we're protesting, we're helping each other, and we're beginning to reopen the state. We can't just focus on the issues, because if we get stuck in the past on the issues, then we're just using the wrong filter. Instead of letting this pandemic limit you, go call your friends, connect with family, volunteer or get a job that you can work from home. Instead of sitting by as the rest of the world struggles, spread your opinion. Take advantage of your rights. Say what you want to say, even if others are afraid to. Change the filter because gray and gloomy doesn't suit you or our country. Change the filter and go celebrate with your family. All the graduates here today have every right to, because what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what they've endured is not easy by any means. Change the filter because you're going to change it eventually. And if you wait too long before you fix that sunset, then the picture itself loses all meaning. You're not going to look back at these times and laugh if you don't laugh now. All you're going to do is regret waiting so long. So do your thing. Change your life's filter. Let yourself be. Be careful, obviously. Don't put yourself in harm's way, but find that balance in your life, that filter that makes it perfect. Thank you. And now please welcome Melissa Fitzpatrick.
It is always our choice to move forward. I think it is safe to say that this year was nothing like we expected it to be. The disappointment we felt when our trips were canceled and the excitement we endured when we heard school was canceled is something no senior class has ever experienced before. Yet, very soon, we all began to realize that maybe school wasn't so bad. It made us appreciate the small things of our everyday lives that we normally take for granted. We wanted our prom and our senior sunset and our grad night, things we had to miss in order to preserve the well-being of so many people who would be affected by this virus. COVID-19 may have taken away our prom, but it did not take away our relationships. Nelson Mandela once said, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall." And as a class, as a society, I saw people rise from this tragedy. I saw teachers offering to support parents in need of childcare with the lack of school. I saw people volunteering to work and donate food to Three Square. Don't get me wrong, there was our fair share of stupidity with people buying a 40-year supply of toilet paper. But overall, there was a movement to spread positivity and a time prone to negativity. Just in my own family, we took the time we had together to bond and tell each other I love you. Something I think we can all learn from this awful pandemic is that we have to let go of what we cannot control and focus on the here and the now. Obsessing over the past or worrying about the future brings no personal gain. Sometimes your life is going to feel like it's crumbling, but ruminating will not bring progress. So when you find yourself trapped in an endless cycle, remove those thoughts and do something you can control. Tell someone you love them, give compliments, sleep more, exercise, laugh. Helping others helps you. You can get past your shortcomings and failures if you use them to move forward. So to the amazing teachers who have given us the opportunity for an education, to the staff and administration for creating a safe environment, and to our wonderful parents and guardians for shaping us and paying for our endless needs, and to the class of 2020 for our high school experience, I thank you. I also encourage you to take the time today to express your gratitude for everyone who has guided you here, and in this moment, celebrate that you are getting your diploma. A crisis should not be necessary for unity, so I challenge all of you all to reach out to people to spread joy just because it is the right thing to do. Now is the time to strengthen your relationships. Now is the time to do what you love, because you cannot control what will happen tomorrow. Class of 2020, choose to move forward. Thank you, and up next we have Mia Kopman.
Good morning, Cougs. Today is August 26, 2016, and today we'd like to welcome our freshman class of 2020 to high school. We're so excited to see what's in store for them over the next 4 years. From the laughs and smiles, to the heartbreak, to the stress, to even the odd mental breakdown at 2 in the morning. Nonetheless, we know that they're going to have the time of their lives. Good morning, Cougs. Today is September 2nd, 2016, and today was the first assembly ever for the class of 2020. They got a true introduction to the spirit and liveliness of Coronado, and we can't wait for them to go to their first football game and experience a true Friday Night Lights. Good morning, Cougs. Today is August 14th, 2017, and it's the start of a promising sophomore year for our class of 2020. It should be a year of growth and transition into the great and promising young adults we know you are, and we can't wait to see what you accomplish academically and socially. Good morning, Cougs. Today is September 14th, 2017. We had a little bit of a mishap as one of our posters unfortunately caught on fire, but word to the wise, next time we should run away from fires instead of trying to get closer to record them. Good morning, Cougs. Today is October 2nd, 2017. Today we mourn the loss of those affected by the October 1 tragedy, and we stand with those we know affected. We will keep this day in our hearts forever. We are and always will be Vegas strong. Good morning, Cougs. Today is August 13th, 2018. Congrats to the class of 2020 for finally making it to upperclassmen status. The next years will be some of the best of your life. Please don't bully the freshmen. Can we make a deal that there won't be a food fight this year? Good morning, Cougs. Today is April 5th, 2019, and today is the first prom for our class of 2020. We hope that you have one of the best experiences of your lives and make the best memories with your friends. Don't get yourselves into too much trouble. Good morning, Cougs. Today is August 12th, 2019, and today is the first day of senior year for our class of 2020. Don't take any moments for granted. Before we know it, our entire world will change, so enjoy every last bit of it. Good morning, Cougs. Today is March 13th, 2020, and today we have some bad news. Because of the current status of the coronavirus, CCSD in the state of Nevada will be canceling school until after spring break. All sports, activities, assemblies, and prom will be canceled. We are so sorry for our seniors, as we know this is tough. Good morning, Cougs. Today is June 17th, 2020, and today we sit at graduation with our beautiful class of 2020. This year we experienced our last homecoming, our last football game, our last assembly, some of which we didn't even realize would be our last. But congratulations to all of us, for we did it. We made it through, and the day is finally here. As we've seen throughout our time in high school, we will go through endless cycles of ups and downs, but that's just what life will throw at us. The obstacles that push us to figure out who we really are, compared to those days with our friends where we don't have a care in the world and all we are is happy. This roller coaster of good and bad days has made us who we are today. A determined, independent, loving, and hardworking class who is able to accomplish whatever we put our minds to. I mean, what other senior class can say that they had to finish high school with the biggest global pandemic ever trying to stop them? As we go back and reminisce about all of the ups and downs we faced during our 4 years at Coronado, we find memories and lessons that we will hold on to for the rest of our lives. These memories shaped us, molded us, and changed our perspectives forever. As Lewis Carroll once said, I can't go back to yesterday, for I was a different person then. All of the situations I referenced taught us something new about each other, ourselves, and about life. And this knowledge, I hope, we can take with us as we transition into the next stages of our lives. I can't wait to see what becomes of all of you, and I'm eternally grateful I got to grow up and learn with every single one of you. Through all the cycles of positives and negatives life may send your way, never forget who you were, who you are, who you will become, and never let your heads down. Congratulations, class of 2020, and thank you. Please welcome Megan King.
When people ask who I look up to, I used to ponder over inspirational people I've read about, famous people in the news, accomplished people from the past and present, but I've discovered that I'm actually most inspired by the people around me. My family, my teachers, my coaches, my friends, my peers. Currently, our nation is going through an unprecedented crisis. As seniors, the coronavirus felt like the end of the world. Our senior trips, spring break, spring sports, everything was suddenly canceled. Even the strip went dark. However, even as businesses were closed and many of our parents were laid off, they stayed resilient and focused on keeping us safe and healthy. Our teachers worked hard to provide us lesson plans and review materials to adapt to distance learning. Sheltering in, families have had to reconnect. I mean, this is the most time I've had to spend with my parents. And how fortunate that during a time when life seems to revolve around us leaving, we're forced to get to know our families. For some of us, maybe even for the first time. I saw Corona bring out the best in people. Our community came together and helped deliver food to the elderly, bring joy and music to some of those isolated and unable to leave their homes. It was amazing to see those around me finally taking days, which eventually turned into weeks, to just focus and work on themselves. Out of bad, there's always good. High school was of course filled with trying times, but it was also filled with the best memories of getting to see the Plain White Tees perform my freshman year on our football field, cheering during sports games, and supportive teachers in classes filled with friends I'll never forget. And of course, those moments I'll definitely remember forever, like when that poster was lit on fire after school. Now that we're all here today, from this day forward, we look to starting the completely new chapter of our lives, where we decide who we are going to be. All of us are about to embark on very different paths, but we all have the chance to make choices that can help those around us. For inspiration does not need to always come from heroic action, but rather from ordinary people living their everyday lives. How we decide to live our lives is a choice, and that choice can make us all extraordinary. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Jasmine Kumar.
Welcome family and friends, faculty and staff, and my classmates, Coronado's visionaries, to Coronado's 2020 graduation. Although it has been a difficult time these past couple of months, we're graduating. Nothing stands in our way as we complete our first major academic milestone. Coronado High School has paved the way to let us be here. Through the memories that we have had with our friends and our families, we pushed ourselves to make this accomplishment real. We did not give up or fall back, but rather we knocked down the walls that stood in front of us. We kept our goal in sight, we reached our goal, and now we are here. I still remember getting my schedule on the first day of freshman year, thinking, how am I able to get to Mr. Pileski's classroom all the way from Mr. Stump's portable in 4 minutes? I had the same thought this year too, wondering how I was able to get to Miss Leonard's statistics class from Miss Lee's AP Lit portable. But every day we made it. Just like how we were all able to make it today, walking across the stage to the start of the next 4 years, the next 8 years, and the next 10 years of our lives. The fears that all of us had in our first moments of entering Coronado dissipated as we realized that we would make lifelong friends and companions, helpful relationships with teachers, and connections with the Coronado staff. The most important part of our high school experience is the memories. Prom, homecoming, Sadie's, assemblies, and games brought the spirit of Coronado to reality. It was through friends paired with school's activities that made these past 4 years memorable. Family also played an important factor in this accomplishment. They supported us, they reached out to us, they listened to us, they stood by us. Parents, I know we probably pushed you to the edge during these past 4 years, but just remember it was necessary for us to succeed. Either way, parents and family, you all played just as big a role as our friends throughout this process. So now, as I quote the greatest author who has definitely played a role in everyone's childhood, please take a moment to realize that this is not the end. In the words of Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it's happened. The memories that we have made in the last 4 years are for us to look back on and be grateful for. We are only beginning the journey. This is not the time to ask, now what? But it is the time to ask, where do I start? Be proud and confident for what you have completed and curious and excited for what you will do next. Thank you. And next we will hear from Dak Young Lee.
Before I begin, I would like to thank the Coronado faculty, families, friends, and all of those who have contributed to the successes of this year's visionaries. Welcome everyone to Coronado High School's 2020 graduation ceremony. Writing this simple speech about the past 4 years of our lives at Coronado High School was a feat much like dancing an unperfected and, quite frankly, far from finished waltz between our short youths and recently obtained wisdoms. And while I know we don't always heed other people's advice, I hope my peers will reflect and consider my advice at the very least for this afternoon. Considering how I always forget to simplify my answers in math class and constantly add extra work to make up for it, it may be slightly ironic that I'm about to reiterate these words by Steve Jobs. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean and to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end because once you get there, you can move mountains. Over the past few years, I've learned something about myself, and well, actually about all of us. And that is that we all work unceasingly, never taking a day off, never taking a break. Every day after school, we are either running home to arrive on time for a volunteering shift or rushing to pick up our siblings from school to shuttle them home before heading off to sports or music practice. These activities were of our choosing, and we were pulled in a million directions because of the responsibilities we committed to. Responsibilities we hoped would bring us closer to the future aspirations. Responsibilities we continue to pursue even while feeling lost. In fact, I'm sure everyone here found it difficult to walk even to and from our classes at one point because we were so burned out. Perhaps even questioning, is this life? But if everything we have been through so far was life, if all these complex, difficult, heartbreaking moments are what made this life, well then, let's go. We can go once more. No, maybe even twice. In fact, we can go 100 times more. Right now, as we are almost reverting back to the basics, food, shelter, family, health, all those other things, all the extras, they come along once we simplify our needs. So, class of 2020, now that you know you can handle even this catastrophic kind of reset, bring on the world. Because you know what it is like to live simply and wonderfully. Enjoy this, graduates. Enjoy life. Enjoy it simply and fully. And let that simplicity guide you for the rest of our lives. In parting, I offer the famous words of the world's best boss, Michael Scott, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Thank you. Now please extend a warm welcome to Maxwell Lipschutz.
High school is an important time of discovery. It is here that many of us found our closest friends, those with whom we spent countless hours studying, volunteering, or simply enjoying ourselves. On our campus, many of us discovered our hobbies, which helped keep us sane while we navigated the quagmire of tests, homework, and most recently, college applications. Through the myriad of clubs and activities our school offered, most of us found an exercise that satisfied our minds and our souls, and that we will carry alongside us into the rest of our lives. While at Coronado, I have been a member of the varsity bowling team, the varsity quiz team, and the science bowl team. And it was spending time with the great people in each of these groups, doing activities which we all loved, that got me through the most stressful moments of these past 4 years. And it was through these activities that I discovered how to properly balance my personal and academic lives, a skill I hope to carry with me into college. And perhaps most importantly, it was here at Coronado that many of us discovered our greatest passions. Over these past 4 years, scores of us delved for the first time into fields or activities which nowadays we could not fathom living without. In my time at Coronado, I explored further into mathematics than I had ever done before. Furthermore, it was here, at Coronado, that I took a computer science course for the first time. Through the classes I took in both of these subjects, I discovered my passion for problem solving, which has led me to be where I am today, and which I plan to continue into college and beyond. For each and every one of us, our time at Coronado led to profound discoveries within and beyond ourselves that we will carry with us into our bright and hopeful futures. While our journeys at Coronado may be coming to a close, the affinity for discovery and personal growth it has instilled in us will never be lost. Albert Zent Georgi, a Nobel Prize-winning biochemist, once said that discovery consists of seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody has thought. And it was here at Coronado, through the wonderful teachers and staff who have guided us along the way, that we have been gifted with the ability to think deeply and from a variety of perspectives that will allow us to pioneer our incoming futures. I would personally like to thank each and every one of my teachers, not just for putting up with me, but for helping mold my sense of wonder and curiosity that will drive me as I enter the next chapter of my life. I would like to thank Mr. Piccinini for helping shape Coronado into the outstanding place it is today. And I would like to thank all of you, my fellow students and members of the class of 2020, for helping me to become the person I am today, and for partaking alongside me in this wonderful yet peculiar odyssey upon which we have spent the past 4 years. Congratulations for all of your achievements and for completing this stage of your lives. I cannot wait to see what all of you discover, create, and shape as you begin the next. Thank you. Next, we will hear from Kayla Paragas.
August 31st, 2016. That was our third day of high school. I remember this day vividly because I ended that day in tears. It was already 8 o'clock and I had just gotten home from my first cross-country race with what seemed like hours of homework already ahead of me. I began to feel overwhelmed, so to make myself feel better, I decided to play a playlist of High School Musical songs. I knew in that moment that high school was going to be nothing like the movie, but you know, a girl could always dream. But in the same moment, I sat there, began to cry, and I thought to myself, how am I ever going to make it to graduation? Yet, here I am standing in front of all of you today. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, we are constantly making choices. We decide little things like when we want to finally get out of bed after deciding to hit the snooze button one too many times. We choose whether or not we want to wear that same purple hoodie 2 days in a row or that brand new graphic tee. We choose between a packed lunch or Bell's barbecue. Before we go to bed, we decide whether or not we want to watch TikToks for 2 hours when we know we should choose sleep. Thank you, senioritis. But then there are the larger decisions that we make. Facing adversities is inevitable. Just when I thought these past 4 years were hard enough, we have just begun to face one of the biggest adversities the world has had to face. But regardless of how big or small the situation is, one thing many of us tend to forget is that we have a choice. When faced with difficulty, we freeze and think that we have no choice but to be defeated, when in reality, it's the complete opposite. I think it's safe to say that we've had one of the most unconventional senior years out there, and looking back, there's one quote that comes to mind. A character named Andy Bernard from the TV show The Office once said, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them." Our last day of high school happened without us even knowing. We looked back and wished we had just one more day to say hi to our friends during the passing period, and just one more day to say bye to the teachers that still made classes worth going to even when senioritis kicked in. May we remember that every day we have a choice, and to choose to never take another day for granted. Not another hug, late night Chick-fil-A run, or calculus class, not another person in our lives. To my classmates, I am so grateful for our similar choices in classes that brought us together, and I'm grateful for the differences in our choices that make the world ahead of us a place worth exploring. Class of 2020, thank you for being the funniest, kindest, and most awe-inspiring people I've had the pleasure of growing up with. Together, we have learned early on that life is filled with uncertainty. But let us not forget that during these times, we have a choice to use our voices for the better because what we have to say matters, a choice to be the change we've been waiting to see. As we continue to live this life that we've been so abruptly thrown into, I have full faith in us as a group that we will be able to face whatever unexpected life events throws at us with grace and with good and for the good that will follow. Today, I am happy to say that instead of ending my day the same way I did August 31st, 2016, I will be ending it with the biggest smile. Thank you, and now, Lacey Wallace.
It is unlikely that a fox, a horse, a mole, and a boy would become friends. But Charlie Mackesy does just this in his novel, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This profound work is complete with simple yet impactful lessons learned along life's roads and simplistically beautiful illustrations. It is a novel to be understood by all. In one of these many lessons, the young boy and the mole sit together, looking out at the distance in front of them. The boy asks, "What is that over there?" The mole responds, "It's the wild. Don't fear it." The boy then finishes his thoughts with, imagine how we would be if we were less afraid. Think of a world where each of us was less afraid of differences, unknowns, new experiences, or new people. Each of these can represent the wild. It is human nature to be afraid, and each day we must strive to push back against this instinctive feeling. The majority of our class was born into a wild, frightening, and devastating world. America was in the midst of 9/11 and its aftermath, and our country, our families, and our friends entered into unwalked paths of darkness and despair. But slowly, we each took one step forward for hope of better days ahead. Now, as we graduate, we have further journeyed down unwalked paths as we have experienced the effects of COVID-19. Our senior year was atypical, to say the least, and we were all faced with uncertainty for the future. But we are resilient, and with every wild we encounter, we meet it with strength, endurance, and hope. We remain unafraid because we know that after each tragedy, we come back a little stronger and a little more prepared. Graduating is a little scary, and we are constantly faced with the question of what am I going to do next? But I feel we are well equipped to withstand the challenge. In Charlie Mackesie's novel, when the boy and the mole met the fox in the wild, they were naturally skeptical and a bit fearful. But they saw the fox was struggling. He was caught in a trap and he needed help. He needed a friend. I've seen many of our class push back these same feelings of fear, set them aside, and befriend people who may be different. Humanity and kindness have the power to outweigh fear. When we all enter into our own different versions of the wild after graduation, we're going to come across people who may be different from us, with different backgrounds, who we may not understand or get along with at first. But I encourage each of you to accept these differences and allow people to be themselves, rather than let your fear drive prejudice. When we can set aside our differences, we can see we all have something in common. We all want to be loved and accepted. Many unknowns face us as we graduate and enter into the next phase of our lives, many of us going to new places with new faces. But the wild that lies ahead, we need not fear. The wild can be beautiful, life-changing, and a catalyst of growth, but we must choose to see it that way. When I wrote this speech, I was unsure if I would even have the opportunity to deliver it. But the fact that I am standing here today brings me great hope, not fear, for the fantastic future ahead for the class of 2020. Thank you. Please welcome Matea Zelik, our final valedictorian speech today.
Once upon a time, in a land nestled alongside the glamorous neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip, there grew up a generation of children. This generation is made up of the young adults you will see before you today, and we were to be dubbed the graduating class of 2020. We entered the vast kingdom of high school as freshmen, unearthing a whole new world brimming with independence and opportunities. We began to find ourselves as well, joining clubs and stumbling across interests that we would grow to further explore and love. Throughout the process, the upperclassmen gave us a guiding hand, helping us navigate this intimidating first chapter of our high school story. By the end of our freshman year, we gazed wide-eyed as our role models paraded in front of us during grad walk, knowing that one day, a day far, far away, that would be us. As the years went on, we continued to foster relationships with people that would become key characters in our quests. Our educators and administrators were our knights, valiantly defending and upholding our dreams and aspirations. We found allies in one another, giving each other support as well as some much-needed comedic relief. And as always, our parents and loved ones were our guardians, consistently providing us with encouragement along our paths. Through this, we all became part of a community forged from a closeness that can only be derived from sharing a story. Of course, we slayed dragons along the way. We weathered storms of tests we weren't satisfied with and faced seemingly insurmountable late-night homework sessions. But we did conquer our obstacles. We tested our limits and discovered that we can accomplish whatever we set our minds to. And finally, senior year, the crowning jewel of our high school experience, came at us with a last-minute plot twist that we handled with grace. People always say senior year flies by, but as the clock is about to strike midnight on ours, I know we can say that we made the absolute most out of our shortened one. With today, the class of 2020's high school story comes to a close. We are here at our graduation. We did it. But as we begin to write the first sequel of our lives, I challenge us all to look back to our childhood roots and think in terms of the fairy tales we believed in so passionately. We may not have magic wands or fairy godmothers, but the most powerful thing we can do is truly believe in ourselves and our own happily ever after. After all, if you dream a thing more than once, it's sure to come true. Thank you. Please welcome back to the podium Senior Class President Sheldon Skoboloff.
Take a careful look at the world around you, because this might be the first time you're ever seeing a hint at true reality. For the last 13 years of our lives, we've all been stuck inside of a bubble, and it's a pretty nice one. Sure, we've all threatened to drop out of school at some point and had our fair share of crises. Maybe you didn't get the grade you wanted, maybe there were people who were cruel to you, but in the end, we were sheltered. We were given a routine, we saw our friends every day, and we had a chance to form our identities. The biggest concern for most of us was keeping up with our homework or chores and maybe some problems at home. Now, at our age, we have a duty that we didn't used to have to our community and the world around us, which has been out of balance for quite some time now. We have a duty to act in the present to create the future that we deserve, because it won't be long until our generation is in charge. Although it's hard to see, our senior class is full of future captains of industry, future activists, artists, performers, chefs, architects, you name it. Working together, as cliche as it might sound, we will change the world. I won't say we can change the world, because there's no question about it. It's our destiny to leave our mark on society like every generation before us and like we already have at Coronado. I encourage you to think about the world that you want to live in, and remember these words sung by the great Cuban American, Celia Cruz. No hay que llorar, la vida es un carnaval, hay que vivirla. There is no reason to cry, for life is a carnival. If you want to live life, you must live. I encourage you all to take chances and yes, even to fail, because failure is the greatest teacher that any of us will ever have. So stop thinking about the adventure that you want to take and just take it. Stop thinking about that book that you want to write and just write it. Stop thinking about the world that you want to live in and just live in it. Thank you. Please welcome back my friend, Emma Aguero.
We made it. We loaded this bus together in 2016. 800 of us seated and ready to go. Memories of football games, first days of school, dances, assemblies, and one another pass us by. Each moment was moving faster than the last. This is our final stop, 2020. Now we have arrived at the end of our journey. Every day at Coronado, we had the opportunity to learn something new. We read books, learned math equations, studied our past and our present, memorized chemical formulas, and even investigated how the brain works. We also had the opportunity to learn about who we are. One of my favorite lessons that I have learned over the past 4 years is that people change people. It's people like Sheldon Skoboloff that teach you to do what you love. It's people like Riley Danielson that teach you to be a fan of others. It's people like Hannah Truman that teach you that friendship can last forever. It's people like Sarah Ross that teach you that your voice has meaning. It's people like Andrew Yu that teach you to be proud of where you came from. It's people like Grace Abe that teach you a smile can change someone's day. It's people like Cale Underwood that teach you to be a friend to those who need it. It's people like Robert Britt that teach you that education is a gift. It's people like Seth Bordeaux that teach you to always be kind. And it's people like Ava Nober that teach you what it means to be a true friend. People change people. Thank you for changing me. I couldn't possibly begin to mention all the people that have made an impact on me and that made an impact on our school. I cannot tell you how incredibly grateful I am to have been on this journey with you all. Please continue to share your story and help make our world a better place. We are stronger together. We are 2020. And now the moment we've all been waiting far too long for, please prepare for the Class of 2020 processional presentation of the diplomas under the direction of Principal Piccinini.
As the duly appointed principal of Coronado High School, it is my honor and privilege to present the graduating class of 2020, and I hereby certify that the group of young men and women seated here today have completed the course of study and credit requirements prescribed by the Clark County School Board of Trustees and the Nevada Department of Education, and are qualified to receive the appropriate diploma, each according to his or her individual achievements.
Congratulations, Coronado High School class of 2020. You are now graduates of the Clark County School District. You might not realize this, but as your trustee, we have something in common. It was nearly 12 years ago, in 2008, that I was first elected to the school board and began my journey as trustee. That was also about the same time most of you began first grade and your journey towards graduation. As I wrap up my 12 years on the school board, I couldn't be more proud to have the class of 2020 as the last class that I welcome as graduates. And what a story you will have to tell your kids and your grandkids. After all, the conclusion of your K-12 education is one that will be written in the history books. Through it all, you stuck with it, and you have emerged stronger because of what you have experienced. The bottom line is through your hard work and perseverance, with the encouragement of friends, family, and teachers, you are here. You made it. It is on days like these that I am so honored to be one of 7 trustees that helps lead this district, and why I am brimming with optimism about the future despite the uncertain times we are experiencing. All of you graduating today are the ones who very soon will be helping to lead this valley and this state. You are all resilient. I know that you will do all you can to make Southern Nevada a better place to live and to call home. Show the world what wonderful things Cougars can contribute. Congratulations, Coronado High School class of 2020. You did it. On behalf of the state of Nevada, Superintendent Jara, and the Clark County School Board of Trustees, I proudly accept the Coronado High School class of 2020.